Peter Martin Audio Division presents Conversation Stimulation.
Right, you are now tuned in and plugged out of the Matrix with me. Welcome to the Double Speak podcast. I'm your host, writer, director, producer, PJ Mundy, and all that ego-toting crap. I am known as the Council Baby, aka the Big Non-Stepper. That was close. AKA the silver tongue, silverback, and that's a fact. And we are back. Right, start off these episodes reading mantras. So I start off talking about these mantras, mate. We should not judge people by their peak of excellence, but by the distance they have travelled from the point where they started. We should not judge people by their peak of excellence, but by the distance they have travelled from the point where they started. Bam, 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 bam. This is an important episode. I'm a little nervous to record it because I think it's very important. I'm not saying that other episodes are not important, but this one is particularly important because we're talking about some serious things, or things that I care dearly about. And really, maybe I care dearly about it because it's advice directly to you, I know someone that works at a museum and had to sign an NDA because they could never say to the public or publicly what they've seen. One of the things that they've seen is that around 3% of the historical artifacts are on display at museums. Now my first question was, what do you mean? And the answer was 3% of the historical artifacts are on display. Okay. Is that because of, ever so often they have to bring out things for events and exhibitions that people pay for to make money? And they said, yeah, that would bring it up to around 6%, 5%. I'm like, huh? Over 95% of things you will never see unless there's a nuclear bomb and it exposes the myriad of artifacts that would change the course of history if they were seen by the public. Don't you think that's interesting? I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, I think that was crazy. Like, we was talking about stuff, and me and this person, and they were saying to me that people say that Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, but she wasn't. But because she was presented with the new light-skinned Egyptian, or fairer-skinned Egyptian, the mixed race Egyptian, mixed with Greek, Persian, Arab, as well as Roman. Cleopatra represented an invading force, should we say. But she was not native. The last native ruler was a person called something like that. Man, it's like Necanibo II. That's why, yeah. Was the last native ruler of ancient Egypt, as well as the third and last pharaoh of the 30th dynasty. Now, I can bring up the facts. Let me get the facts. So he reigned from 358 to 340 BC. So that wasn't even a long time. I'm not talking about, it was 18 years. Yeah, 18 years ain't a long time. But he had to run to Kush, which is modern day Ethiopia, I believe, in Eritrea. He had to run there because the invading forces were doing a madness, and in order to survive and preserve himself as being the last pharaoh, he went and meshed with the Kushites, build an empire there and bring them back to take back ancient Egypt, which he done, and Egypt prospered under his reign. Anywho, a lot of people, and I mean scholars, negate that a lot of ancient Greece and ancient Greek knowledge came from Africa, specifically the northeast of Africa. And I mean heavily northeast, east mainly. Horn, we're talking about, you know? Ethiopia was actually named by the Europeans, and I've said that before, actually, on this podcast. Ancient Greeks and Romans acknowledged that ancient Egyptian gods were the true gods, and the great Homer, author, ancient Greek author, one of the greatest, amongst others, were quoted saying that they of Thrace, which is one of the terms that were used for ancient Greece, Thrace or Thrace, learned from ancient Egyptians. Ancient Egyptians? Yeah, but Ethiopians is what the term was. And ancient Egyptians, same thing. He called the black Africans Ethiopians in his language, and referred to them as superhuman. And by the way, a lot of modern day Ethiopian Eritreans, they don't look like how, they also are very much mixed. Italian, Arab, British, there's a lot of mix there as well. Because he was saying that their skin was the colour black. And there's not many Ethiopians that you see today, or Eritreans, where they're as dark as the colour black. You don't see that. So again, it's not modern day. Anyway, Ethiopia, west of Arabia, Herodotus gives a compact description. And here's the quote. This country produces great quantities of gold, has abundance of elephants and all woodland trees and ebony, and its men are the tallest and the most handsome and the longest lived. That's where the superhuman comes from. In the Odyssey, one of the greatest stories ever told, one of the most influential stories ever told, the best epic, the great epic, should I say, by Homer, said every year the Greek gods go to feast with Ethiopians. That's how much he revered them. Roman Catholicism have many saints instead of gods, but it's the same people. It's the same entities that they're talking about. They just change the name from gods to saints. And Christianity, I believe, changes it from gods, saints to angels, but it's the same entities representing the same principles. If you look up, even there today, there's so much statues and artwork of Egyptian deities in the Vatican, as well as Roman versions of their deities. All Greek gods are derived from ancient Egyptian gods. The example of Thoth I have tattooed on my neck, which is where the ancient Greek Hermes was imitated from. That's one of many. But yeah, look it up. So that begs the question, was Zeus, who was the Roman god, also Jupiter? And them man, were they black, fam? Were they black? I know I've mentioned the one-eyed queen, Aramanes, the boss. She was a queen warrior. She was one-eyed. But she went to war for the Kush Empire against the Romans because they were trying to conquer Egypt and Ethiopia, and that wasn't gonna happen. That wasn't gonna happen. You get me? Even though her husband died in battle, she held it down like a real G. Okay. Shout out to my queen, my G. Rest in peace forever. Like I was there. You know him once. But yeah, anyway. As a writer, I believe words are so powerful. Okay? Very, very, very powerful. Language and words frame your thoughts. even though your feelings and emotions are tamed and manipulated and enslaved by the language that you speak. And I'm not going to expand on that here today. The term spelling is interesting to me because you can cast spells with your words. So spelling turns to being spellbound. I want you, my listener, who is wanting something more than what they're currently getting in life and striving for more. It doesn't have to be financial. It can be spiritual. It can be physical. It can be relationship, emotional based. It could be financial. It could be whatever. But just striving for more. I want you to change your verbiage. I would like you to change your verbiage. Now, this is something that I had to learn, and therefore, I'm still learning. Even though I have a grasp on it, I think this episode is gonna, it's not gonna just stay on this topic, but it's starting here. It's gonna evolve. But I'm hoping that you take something from what I've learned and apply it to your life, and it helps you. That's what the goal is. Reprogramming your mind to think in a more positive way. Now, this is not going to be the first time you hear any rhetoric like this, obviously, but I'm only talking about changing the way you speak, therefore the way you think, and hopefully changing the way your destiny rolls out. But because your actions are going to change, because you're casting spells on yourself and others, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about deliberately casting spells on yourself versus inadvertently casting spells on yourself. So things like I've got to do something versus I get to do something has been so powerful for me. I'll give you an example, something very trivial, but not so, because this actually falls in the bracket of everything I'm getting at. So, I've got to go to work tomorrow. I've got to go to the gym. I've got to go pick up my son from school. I get to go to work tomorrow. I am employed. I am so appreciative that I have an income, because I know what it's like to not have an income and how stressful that can be. I get to go to the gym. I'm lucky that a gym is close to me. I don't have to travel too far. It's not that pricey, and I get to work on myself. I get to improve myself. I get to de-stress. I get to pick up my son from school, daughter from school tomorrow. I get to be a parent. I get to relieve my child from the boredom of school. I hope you get where I'm going with this. I've got to do something versus I get to do something is very powerful in regards to changing your attitude about the task at hand. That's what I mean. I can't vs I just haven't done it yet. I can't do 1,000 push-ups. Why? Because you haven't done it yet. So if someone says to you, I want you to do this, it's not you can't, it's just that you haven't done it yet. Because there are other people that have done it, and if other people can do it, you can do it. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, 15th, 16th, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, you're going to be able to do it. And at that point, it's going to sound really stupid to you to hear someone else say, I can't. Because you were at the stage where you couldn't, but knowing that at some point you will be able to. I can't vs I just haven't done it yet. Success and happiness is not an accident. It's habits, thoughts, and belief systems. Now, I am not the most successful person in the world. So one side of me wants to say, take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. But at the same time, what I'm saying isn't new, and I'm sure you've heard it before from way more successful people than me. But success is all relative, because what are we talking about? It's all within context, and success is actually whatever you deem it to be. Because someone who's hugely financially free might not deem that as success for various reasons. They never earned it, it was inherited, it was given to them, they won it, or they were at the right place in the right time. They weren't as talented as their peers, but things just worked out for them. So they might, for me, it's all subjective. So for me, success is me creating a life where it's sustainable based on what I've thought about. To me, that is success. It's all subjective. So anyway, but the point I'm making is success and happiness is not an accident, though. It's habits, thoughts, and belief systems. So even though someone might look to you successful because of what your metric is for success, they might not deem it like that because it was an accident. And therefore they feel like they don't deserve it. Anyway, let's go back to NLP. Neuro-linguistic programming. So, all corporations and governments use it, to put this on the public. They use it on us. They use it in sales and marketing. All of that is NLP. In politics, it's used to artfully be vague by using doublespeak, ironically. And this is the Doublespeak podcast. Now, for those of you that have not taken the time to Google it for yourself, doublespeak is when you artfully say something without actually saying something. If that makes sense. It's what politicians do, it's what people do when they have invested interest in something and are trying to come across like they're answering a question, but they're not really answering the question. And they're actually making it sound a lot better than what it is. Another example is genocide. The doublespeak version of genocide is ethnic cleansing. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anyway, so NLP is used a lot in sales and marketing and politics, etc. It's technically a form of doublespeak. It is that. It's a way of talking in a certain way. To mislead, let's say, yeah. It's not bad or good, it just is. A weapon, I would deem it, or an assistant, that's probably better. NLP is like the link between language and your brain as it deciphers external behavior. What do I mean by that? How was you persuaded to do something you previously never wanted to do or think, like, in that way? How was that possible? How have I been able to do that with you? NLP or doublespeak, blah, 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 whatever. It's not just how you understand human behavior, but it's how you manipulate it too. Like, it can be used to sell a car or can get into bed with a baddie. Dating is primarily like being aware of non-verbal cues. Would you agree? Sometimes what you don't say is louder than what you do say. And non-verbal cues is not only, body language or how you're dressed or how you're coming across, your tone. It can be quite a few different things, but that's more important. Your nature is more important in dating than actually the words that you're saying. They say that 70 to 60% of communication is non-verbal. What's being said isn't always what you mean either. Okay? So language is an interesting thing, to me anyway. Obviously I'm a writer, so it would make sense. And a podcaster now, so that would make sense why. But yeah, it's very interesting. Because me and someone from another point in time that doesn't even understand cultural references of today, we can still kind of understand each other without even speaking, depending on what the topic is or what's going on. Obviously, you can't go too far in any topic without speaking, but you can get across things to someone who does not speak your language. Like, over there, I'm hungry, I'm tired, my head's hurting me, I'm a bit under the weather, I don't know, I don't really know what's going on. These kind of things, basic things. But that's still a form of communicating. You can also, in my experience, you can also communicate through music with a lover. That's like my thing. That's like my bag. My bag is sending songs, and it's like, yeah, I feel like this or boom, 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 and back and forward, and communicating how I feel or how the other, hopefully she engages and she does the same thing, and we end up having a real conversation through sending music back and forth. And I think that's like it is phenomenal. That is a phenomenal, it triggers parts of the brain I think it's the music more so than just the words of the song. That's why you do it, because you can't articulate the words. So this artist speaks through you, or this music speaks through you, and the beats or the sounds are outside of language as well. So it's not restricted and enslaved by rules of phonetics. It is more about feeling things that can't be articulated in these words and letters that have been given to us. And that's what triggers emotions in the brain that would not be triggered just by words. Ta-da! I hope you know what I mean now. But back to the point, NLP is primarily my focus on myself and tricking my mind into doing things I need to do that I can't be bothered to, period. Also, empathy, understanding others deeply, is a part of it in order to help them. I think that's really important. So in getting rid of stress and anxiety, lowering depression levels, improving creativity and productivity, it can help with all that. Boosting morale, 100,000,000%. I think bending reality to your desires. Someone who was very good at that with other people is Steve Jobs. He was phenomenal at bending reality to get people to do things that he wanted them to do within crazy timelines and stuff like that. That didn't make any sense in reality, but he was able to convince them with tools like NLP. 100%. I'm not sad. I'm not stressed. I'm not pressured. I'm ready. I want a particular outcome. Michael Jordan said, when I feel pressure, I have to up the incentive. And that to me is so true, man. Because most of the time when you feel the pressure, it's because you're taking in the moment of what's the weight of what's happening, rather than saying, well, I want this, this and this, so I have to get to it. So it's not important about the pressure. It's not important that how much thousands or even millions of people are watching me all around the world at home. What's important is I need to win this game. That's what's important. And I need to win this game. Why? How am I going to up the incentive? So my family respects me, so that I can respect me, because I want to be great. And if I don't win this game, I'm therefore not great, and I'm lying to everybody. I'm an imposter. These kind of things sound crazy to some people, but that's actually what gets the greats out of bed, using NLP. Maps of Meaning is a book by Jordan Peterson that I love. It's a great book. It taught me that we respond to our individual idea of reality and not reality itself. We pull meaning from subjective views of things. Okay, what does that mean? If you don't like the feeling you have about something on this planet, about anything on this planet, should I say, you can change it as it is a facade. What do I mean by that? Your view of anything on this planet is your perspective based on your experiences that you can draw from. So there was a episode on Joe Rogan's podcast with him and Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin was showing his book. I think it's called The Art of the Creative. Phenomenal book. And the image, he asked Joe Rogan, what do you see on this image? And Joe was saying, I think he said like a bullseye. The cover looks like a bullseye. And Rick said, nope, it's not a bullseye. But I understand why you think it's a bullseye, because your experience is you're a hunter. So you are very familiar with this image would look like that to you. But it actually is, I think he said, an infrared camera's view of the sun, which I thought was so interesting, because if you're not in some kind of science to do with the universe or cameras or whatever, infrared cameras, you're not going to know that that's what that is, because that's not your experience. So that's why I would say, what is reality when all these shapes and all of the information that's being passed to you through your senses, your sight, your taste, your smell, your touch, your hearing, is you can only make sense of it based on what you've already experienced. So you color everything on that. And that's why taking in new information is so important, because your brain doesn't understand things that it doesn't already understand. So you will just reject it, or actually completely be blind to it or deaf to it, or even make up a alternate reality about what's happening. Not on purpose, but because you have no reference point. This is important. When somebody has a panic attack, it's not the heart rate and blood pressure that's gone up and you're sweating and hyperventilating that's actually the problem. It's what you tell yourself that is the problem. The questions of, why am I reacting like this, is not the go-to. It's usually a full-on misguided conclusion. I think that when people stop and actually assess a situation, void of their previous experiences or what someone told them, sometimes you can assess the situation a lot clairvoyant, because you're not just going off of previous experiences. What is the story you tell yourself in times of perceived crises? Crises. Probably crisis. Crises. Mices. Rices. Fishes. Crisis. Yes, crisis. Not crises. Maybe, no, crisis is a word. I don't think it's the same as rices. I think crisis is a word. Mices. Sorry, anyway. Perspicacity is what we make. Shake. So I'm being silly. I'm actually being silly now. But anyway, I was saying something about perspicacity, which means perspective. Our perspective is what we make something mean. Whatever your perspective is on anything is how you move forward, and if you move forward, more importantly. The best advice I can give is to organize your life around a goal. It makes it easier to achieve. Do you know? So whatever your goal is, if you organize the things in your life around it, it aids it. You don't want to take on a task that's going to clash with your life routine. And if you haven't got a routine, create a routine and stick to it religiously, and then make that these goals fit perfectly around your routine. So if it's for example, if it's to go to the gym, find a gym that's near your workplace or find a gym that's near your home. One of the two. I would suggest finding a gym that's on your way home or on your way to work, because then it fits around your journey. So then you say, okay, well, I need to leave earlier to go to the gym. That's what I used to do. I used to go to my gym before work, and where I worked, there was a shower there, so I used to shower at my workplace, leave my uniform in my locker and get changed there, and it was cool. If you don't have a work set up like that, then you can shower at the gym and whatever. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to suggest how things work better. If it's something other than that, if it's something like you want to start a business, then you need to do your research. Bring your stuff that you want to research, or your pen and paper, whatever it is that you use, bring that to work and do it on your lunch break. Do you get what I'm going? Like organizing your life around your goal. If your goal is to lose weight, I'm using lose weight and start a business as the main two things, but it could be anything. My argument would be, maybe you shouldn't go out drinking with your friends as you usually do every Friday or whatever. Even if that's what helps keep you sane, you need to take that time and say, in that time, I'm gonna action something for my business. Not study, not research. I'm gonna action. I'm gonna do something that pushes the business forward. And in that, you realize you're gonna save money that you would have spent. You're gonna be active with your time, and you're also progressing towards your goal. You're organizing your life around your goal. Do you get it? You can actually break any habit in 30 days. I don't care what your habit is. In 30 days, you can break that habit. If you stick to your regiment, you can break any habit in 30 days. I've been 20 stone twice. And both times I went on a liquid diet for 3 months to just get this weight off. Yeah. And in doing that, I know for the first 30 days, it's going to be hell. But after that, my stomach is going to shrink. My mind is not going to want anything much else. And it's going to become a habit to make those smoothies or reach for that. And the weight is just going to fall off. All I have to do is stick to the regimen and tell myself that fast food is disgusting. Tell myself that eating carb heavy meals is not for me. It makes me not feel good. and recondition my mind to take in liquids over solids. Now, when people see what my eating habits, it's like, right, that's crazy. How are you so big? Or I could never do that, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's because you tell yourself that. I don't want to do that. I do it because I have to, and I tell myself lies. Or I'm gonna say lies. I tell myself whatever it is I need to know in order to execute that. What you can't or don't want to give up or abstain from is what's in your way from you and your dreams. If you begin to slip up, forgive yourself as well. This is like really paramount. If you slip up, I don't care what it is. If you slip up, you have to forgive yourself immediately and keep going. The biggest thing I hear from people in conversation about why they don't stick to their diets, or why they don't stick to their goals, or why they fall off the bandwagon, is because they made a mistake 1 time, 2 times, and then they slip, and then they feel like they're a loser, or they're a failure. It reminds them of how they've never achieved anything they've set out for, and they stop. And that is the wrong perspective, because nobody is perfect on this planet. I've met a lot of rich people, and none of them are any more human than you. I've met people who are professional athletes, whatever it is that you're trying to do in regards to, like, we're talking about losing weight again. No one is not human. Everybody makes mistakes. I don't know if you've seen The Rock's cheat days, but bloody hell, mate. Be balls to the wall when you mess up. Really mess up. Give this mess up everything you got. And when you're satisfied to the point where almost being sick, I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm just saying, remember how horrible you feel when you mess up, and use that as motivation to get back on your mission. You dig? Missions on self-improvement are hard as hell, man. And you're not a robot, you're a human. You can't just methodically do this thing and not feel or have emotions or thoughts about this. It's just impossible. So be a human and make mistakes. Fail on purpose, lose money, get lost. Learn. Please learn and continue like nothing happened. No matter what it is. Like I said, if it's business, lose the money. If it's you're trying to go somewhere, get lost on purpose. Take a risk, take a couple of risks. The lessons you learn from experience, oh my gosh. All things that we worry about are replaceable, forgettable, or can be bought again. Wisdom is based on personal experience. Some say, a fool learns from their own mistakes, or the average person learns from their own mistakes, and the wise person learns from the mistakes of others. A fool repeats the same thing over and over again. That's what some people say, which there is a lot of truth to that. I think there's a healthy balance. I think learning from other people, like my mentors, is every book I read. Every book I've read, these people are my mentors. They're around me all the time. Their energy is here, and they advise me based on their teachings, okay? But also, I have to make a lot of mistakes for myself. Sometimes to even prove what those people are saying right. Or create my own legacy. How are you going to do that if you don't make mistakes? How are you going to do that if you don't learn from those mistakes? If you don't take it too personally and make you doubt yourself, but you actually make it a reason to keep going. I made this mistake. I'm still learning. And the more mistakes I make is the better I'm going to be. I don't care what you're doing. Any kind of craftsman, the more you make mistakes is the more you're like, oh, okay, well, you can't do it this way. Oh, okay, well, I shouldn't do that. Oh, okay, I need to learn this. Oh, okay. The dream is free and the hustle is sold separately. A great book on this topic is, or not necessarily on this topic, but in this realm, is Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. I think it will be a great help with enriching your map to success and what you deem as success. Everyone's primal desire is to feel or be important. And when presented with a new experience, we have inherent fears that make or break you based on the box you fit in neatly. I want you to hear what I'm about to say, yeah? And put in the comments which category you fit into. I'm going to give some psychological categories. And to all my writers out there that listen, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I hope I gave you something. I hope you're not just wasting time and pretending that you are doing research, you know, but you're actually just procrastinating. Don't worry, you're not alone. Some could say I started this podcast because of procrastination. And look at it now. Still with the same 3 listeners that I had at the beginning. No, I'm joking. Thank you for listening. Anyway, let's get to work. So, I'm going to give a few psychological categories and I want you to write in the comments what you fit into. Okay, let's go. Excuse, that's my accent got in the way of that word. Sorry about that. By the way, we're talking about hope vs fears. Category A, competency based. Okay, this is a competency based person. Is this new experience going to give validation, heighten or elevate my status on the social hierarchy in a given field? Or is it going to waste my time and subsequently feel stupid? Am I going to subsequently feel stupid? That's the perspective of category A, psychologically. Yeah, so that's category A, competency based. Category B, freedom minded. New experience. Is this going to give me more opportunities or limit me in some way? Category C, the creative or self-expressive. Is presented a new experience. They wonder, is this unique and special, or am I going to feel or be perceived like everybody else? Am I going to stand out in all the glory that it can bring, or be smeared in the grey of the mundane? Category D, the person that chases security. Is this new experience safe or not safe? Category E, need for belonging. New experience presents itself. Am I going to feel a part of a team or finally belong? Sorry, am I gonna feel a part of a team and finally belong, or be excluded, or even worse, rejected? This applies in any series of iterations or social metric where one can draw ethics and social standing from, i.e., I mean competitive games or sports, work, anything where you can draw, anything where you can like mark someone by, are they doing the right thing or not? Are they winning or not? So yeah, I got a few books that I want to recommend to help. The Strangest Secret. It's on YouTube for free. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but it is. The book called Strange Secret by Earl, if I remember his name it's Earl something Gale. It's like, doesn't matter, just type in The Strangest Secret and it will come up. Rest in peace to him, because he's phenomenal. I can't remember his name right now, it's escaping me. And the drink I'm sipping is definitely champagne. Today was a good day. I'm drinking champagne. I wish I could tell you why, but I can't right now. But I'm sure you'll find out soon. Today was a good day. Holla if you hear me. I think that's what inspired me to talk about this NLP stuff and helping people, because it was like, yo, when things are going well for you, I don't know about you guys, but I start thinking, man, I wish things could go this well for everybody and everybody would be happy. I know, I got the mind of a 5-year-old. Anyway, Strangest Secret. 1. Next book. How to take change. Sorry, I can't read, I'm dyslexic. How to take charge of your life. The User's Guide to NLP. Number 3. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Number 4. Zero Negativity by Middleton. That's my guy. Number 5. Wait, let me check. I think that's number 6. Wait. Number 1. Strangest Secret. B. How to Take Charge of Your Life. Number 3. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. D. Zero Negativity by Middleton. So my man Tim Ferriss, I love you, Tim Ferriss. If you ever hear this, just know that I love you. You help me so much with your books. Your books are amazing. Your podcast is amazing. You are amazing. Big fan all day. Keep it real, son. So he has a book that I love, that I go back to regularly. Well, he's got, everyone knows, well, not everyone knows, you might not know. There's a book called The 4-Hour Work Week, which is awesome. But he also has a book that I think is really good for motivational speech by a bunch of motivational people. So the problem is that it's like 18 hours. So if you don't have 18 hours, then probably don't get this book. But if you do have 18 hours, if you maybe work nights in security, or if you just want to improve your life and you don't want to be a bozo anymore, there's a book out there called Tribe of Mentors, which I think is so cool. It's some of the greatest minds that I live in today. Bear in mind, I don't know when this book was written, so they could be dead, but I'm just saying, it's contemporaneous, you know, not contempt in your anus, contemporaneous. It's very much contemporary. I need you to take the first step on that journey. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Will Smith, the great slapper, said one time his dad told him, if you want to build a wall, starts with putting one brick perfectly down at a time. He obviously took that from Lao Tzu, okay? Or maybe Will Smith made it up. He's a creative person. Just like he made up the reason why he slapped Chris Rock. I was about to say rest in peace. No, I mean, God bless them, man. Love them, man. That's my childhood. I used to love the way he used to get thrown out of Uncle Phil's house. Ah! That was Jazz, not Will. But you know what I mean. Anyway, just get things done that you need to do. Do stuff. Just do it. In the great words of 50 Cent, in his book, Hustle Smarter, Hustle Harder, do shit. Do things that you have to do, period. When I was about 11 or 12, my mum gave me a book. She slapped a book in my hand and said, hey, Dumbo, you have to read. You have to start reading, you know? You're so stupid. You're supposed to play PlayStation. You have to read. And I was like, why is it stupid to play PlayStation? But she didn't know that right now people are making millions playing PlayStation. But obviously, you have to forgive your parents. They didn't know back then what was going on. But she put this book in my hand and she was like, hey, read this and stop being so stupid. And the book was Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I feel like I've spoken about this before on the podcast. But anyway, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Check that out. I already mentioned 4-hour work week. Mr. Tim Ferriss. Anyway. My advice, my humble advice, my beautiful and wonderful doublespeak members, don't look at the whole task or what the finish line looks like. Look at the first step on a daily basis. But your daily basis, you want to just look at the first step until you complete it, and then you want to move on to the second step. And then the step after that, and you just want to tick them off. If the message is consistent from all fronts, then will you in turn start to question your own reality or your own ethical standing along with your peers, and then mindlessly vote and mindlessly consume products? The propaganda is demonized. At the end of the day, the subsequently what happens, yeah, is that it demonizes anyone who dares to object to common consensus. I see it as narcissistic martyrdom. You'd be like, what the hell is he talking about? What the hell was he talking about? Narcissistic martyrdom is what I'm talking about. Homie, collectivist solutions to problems throughout history has done more harm than good. What do I mean? If everyone from everywhere thinks the same way about anything, it leaves no room for diversity. Ironically, that's the perceived push. But in fact, it's making everything insipid, bland, and unintelligible. There's never food for thought if we all have the same opinion. If there's no food for thought, if your opinion cannot be changed or challenged, then you may as well be dead because you've ceased to learn. Totalitarianism. What does that mean? Google it. My question is to you, listening. My question is, does diversity mean only physical and social, but exclude psychological? Do we have respect for what we're told to have respect for? Or do we have to respect how everyone looks, dresses, their religious standing, and who they choose to sleep with, but but not their opinions, especially if they offend you. You can be offended by someone's opinion, but I believe in having to respect that. Meaning, I'm not going to crash out on you or go crazy because you think a certain way. How beautiful is a rainbow if we are told by the powers that be to only accept the colours of blue and red? And not only ignore, but exclude the others, or else your livelihood will be in jeopardy. Sounds pretty socialist to me. Anyway, one of my favourite quotes, and I'm going to read it, so you better have some patience to let me get the words out. Only a fool deprives themselves from the glory of a changed opinion, for I seek truth and fear abiding in ignorance. Sometimes I like hearing opinions I don't agree with, just to know how others think. To remind me that my opinion is my own and rightly not always shared by others. Is diversity really diversity because everyone looks different but thinks the same? Or at least along the same lines? I don't believe so.
Thank you for listening to the Double Speak podcast.